Good morning and welcome to A Better World with Julann and Fran. I'm Julann.
And I'm Fran, and our guest today is certified hypnotherapist and IEMT practitioner Shokouh Hatch. Welcome, Shokouh.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
It's a pleasure to have you. And can you talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing to make the world a better place?
Yeah, of course. I have a lot going on, but in my career, I make the world a better place by helping adults feel safe in their body.
Uh,
And I teach them how to process their emotions properly and how to release the past so they don't have to rely on unhealthy and outdated coping strategies um, to deal with everyday stress. And mainly, I help them with binge eating and emotional eating. So when I say coping strategies for unhealthy for everyday stress, those coping strategies for a lot of people are to indulge in food when they're feeling sad, when they're feeling bored, when they're feeling stressed. I'm a hypnotherapist, and a couple years ago, I went back and did this program called Eating Freely and became a binge and emotional eating specialist. So that's what I've been doing. Then, on a personal level, I'm a mom. I have two daughters and I homeschool them. So that's an adventure.
I bet. How old
Married.
are they?
How old are they?
Yeah,
They are 9 and 11. So
Oh,
super fun stage, I feel like, our
right.
journey.
Well,
Yeah.
God bless you. Or,
Yeah.
you know, good
yeah,
luck
very
and
much.
have patience.
Yeah. 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 I feel like luckily homeschooling them has been so great because we've built such a good relationship and we're so close and there's so much communication. So I feel like we're off to a good start. We have good foundations for those teen years.
Right, right.
That's
That's great.
fascinating that you should mention that because just prior to you joining us today, Julann and I were talking about the difficulties that family members sometimes have in communication and, how we get along with each other and that sort of thing. So that's great that you are from a very early age allowing your children to know that they are safe with you and they can communicate with you and it's better to communicate with you.
Right,
Yeah, there's no question off limits at our house. So I always say, don't go Googling, don't go looking, don't go to AI, come to us.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And do you find when it comes to binge eating that there's a particular segment of the population that experiences it more than others, or is it pretty much all genders, all ages?
All genders and ages, but I have seen women struggle more. As women, we tend to carry a lot on our plates. We tend to people please. We tend to be perfectionists, try to prove ourselves constantly. We have a hard time saying no. And yeah, a lot of times food has become that place of comfort,
Yeah.
what we kind of fall back on. Yeah.
That's so true. Did
Mhm.
you ever experience that for yourself personally that you were binge eating or no?
I never struggled with the with binge eating disorder, so I never was uh, officially diagnosed or anything, but I was drawn to this work. So I've done emotional eating, like all of us, I feel like, but I was drawn to this work because I feel like I have had to overcome all the personality traits of someone who does struggle with binge eating disorder. So, I was diagnosed with CPTSD myself 3 years ago, and I did 2 years of therapy. I'm back in therapy myself. I feel like that self work never ends. And I do feel like it's so important to show up for us to do the self work that we need ourselves so we can show up from a grounded place for our clients. But I've always struggled with people pleasing. I've struggled saying no. Lack of boundaries, like those are all the things that I have been working on myself. And those are the things that women and adults who struggle with emotional eating and binge eating struggle with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think women, or I think females especially, are trained from a very young age, overtly and covertly, to give, to be the caregivers, to be
Mhm.
the ones who are concerned about everyone else. And then biologically, of course, our bodies, even whether we have children or not, our bodies are designed to kind of set our importance aside in favor of the baby. Your organs get pushed around, and some women get ill during pregnancy, that kind of thing. And I think we do have a tendency because first of all, the training, and then second of all, the biological drive to give and to,
Absolutely.
and to put ourselves aside and make sure that everybody else is taken care of first.
That is so true. As well as women, self-care has not been modeled to us by our mothers, by our grandmothers, our female caretakers. Like I grew up with a mom who worked a ton and I never saw my mom go out with friends. I never saw her. Her
Mm.
entire life um
Working
was
and children.
exactly like we are her world still to this day. Like we have to be like, Mom, go get a massage. Mom,
Aw.
go have just dinner with dad. Like that stuff is even tough for her. And I feel like a lot of us are raised with maybe moms like that who are just givers, 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 givers. And it's not been modeled. At least that was my experience. And I see that in my clients too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think people think, well, I may be eating for the wrong reasons, but it's food and we have to eat food anyway. So it's not like I'm taking drugs or drinking alcohol or something like that. But what we don't realize is that food has an effect on us too.
Right.
You
Oh,
know,
absolutely. Food has an effect. And then on top of that, the food culture here in the US has shifted for the worst
Oh my goodness, it has.
in the past couple of decades, if not longer. And there are people that sit in labs wearing white coats, formulating food that can be highly addictive, that hits
Yes.
those dopamine receptors. And so now we're dealing one with a super stressed out, overwhelmed society, to a society that has not learned healthy coping strategies and self-care from the previous generation. And three, we are exposed to so much sugar, all these holidays, all the processed food that is everywhere and readily available and convenient for us to consume. And it's full of ingredients that are highly addictive. So put that all together, and you have adults that are addicted to food. And food addiction is actually a thing. I've helped clients with food addiction.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah.
it really is. And I think anytime you have food that you have not prepared yourself, so you know every single ingredient that went into it, if you eat even at a restaurant and it's supposed to be a savory food, a lot of times it has too much salt and sugar in it, and sugar is
Right.
extremely addictive.
It
Uh,
is. It is just the right amount of salt, sugar, and fat that is in the food. And the more we consume it, the more we feel like this is it. The
Want
more
it.
our taste buds
Yeah. You
don't
crave it.
feel like we want to eat vegetables and just plain meat anymore. But what I want my clients also to understand is that healthy eating does not mean bland, boring food. I feel like that's kind of the mindset for a lot of people, that if I were to eat healthy, that would mean that I have to eat bland food. I would have to have some steamed chicken with a little bit of steamed broccoli. And no, like maybe
Right.
another part of why I like this work is I love food myself. And I came from a culture, I'm Iranian American. And I came from a culture of food being a huge part of life, like grandma's food simmering on the stove all day long. And I kind of want others to get back into a better relationship with food and be able to actually enjoy food. because those who struggle with binge eating and emotional eating oftentimes are so stressed out. They're so consumed by the thoughts of like what to eat, when to eat, counting calories, counting their macros, thinking they ate too much, they didn't eat enough. Like there's so much going on instead of just like take a deep breath
It's terrible. It really is.
and enjoy the bounty of food that's been provided, and just build a different relationship. Pray over your food, build a relationship with that food that you're eating, and see it as a form of nourishment, not something that you're going to do to punish yourself because you're angry and you don't know how to process your anger, because you have so much grief that you have not allowed yourself to feel. And the act of eating, a lot of times does become an act of punishment for a lot of people. And that breaks my heart. So that's why I do this. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned praying over your food.
Hmm.
Can you talk about how that can help a person?
Yeah. When we struggle with food, there is a form of disconnection. We feel one, disconnected from the food in front of us. The food has become a like some sort of an enemy, something we're fighting constantly in our head. And then the second disconnection is the disconnection from ourselves through diet culture and counting calories and all these different images of how a beautiful body should look like. All these things have created a disconnect from ourselves, and not really knowing when we're hungry and when we're full. So we are eating just out of habit or out of impulse. And so by praying with our food, by creating a ritual around eating, my hope or my intention is that we can slowly get back into building that connection again. And I don't know, I know everybody's faith is different, but even just believing that there is a higher power that is providing this food for us for nourishment so we can not only stay alive, but also have energy and be able to live our lives fully. So, yeah, just kind of giving the food the respect and the reverence it really deserves.
That is so,
It also
Beautiful.
helps
Yeah,
us be more mindful, right?
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Taking the time to notice the aroma of it, the temperature of it, even like the plate and the
exactly. Mhm.
silverware and all of that. It gives you that moment to slow down and become aware of what it is that you're doing, as opposed to, just eating automatically like you may be used to doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, mindful eating is a huge part of this work. But not step one, not always step one, because it can backfire for those that have struggled all their lives and do struggle with binge eating. Mindful eating is maybe step 10 because they're so disconnected from their bodies. They have been operating on autopilot for so long. There's so much previous conditioning and diet culture, and all of those layers have to be peeled back before they can start trusting their bodies again and knowing that I can eat intuitively, I can eat mindfully. Um, because that disconnection had caused them not to even know when they're hungry. So when you don't know when you're hungry and when you're full, it's hard to eat intuitively.
Mhm.
Now, mindful eating is a little bit easier. I guess what I was saying was more so intuitive eating, but mindful eating, we can all practice it. And it is especially important in today's world where we're so busy, where we're just so, fast food culture, quick eating, not having time to prepare food or go grocery shopping. There is this thing actually that I sometimes practice with my clients. It's like, go sit in a closet and eat. It
Oh,
sounds
interesting.
crazy,
It
but
does.
we're so distracted from what's in front of us that we don't know that we're overeating. We don't know, when we're full, when we're hungry. It's just that disconnection that I'm trying to help my clients get back into themselves and building a connection with themselves and with the food in front of them.
Wow.
Yeah. You hear so many people stand, especially moms too. They prepare everything, whatever they're doing. They feed the kids, they're doing this,
Yeah,
and they're standing at the sink or wherever, eating quick to get on to the next thing to take the kids to their after school activities so that's a great way to get them to be.
exactly. And
Yeah.
those who struggle, they do take care of everyone else. They feed their kids, they get lunches ready, they get dinners ready. But then when it comes to themselves, there is this fear of maybe gaining weight. Um, they don't take care of, they don't get their own food ready. And so when nighttime hits, evening time specifically,
Right.
that's when the body is just feeling so deprived.
Yeah.
And that's when the binges happen. The body is deprived, body stressed out mentally, emotionally drained. And so
And
that's the
starving.
time. And starving, the body's physically starving. And
So you're
so,
making bad
yeah,
choices.
at that
Because
point, the brain is not in the conscious mind. So, us hypnotherapists understand the difference between the conscious and the subconscious. When the body is in fight or flight, the brain is not in the part of the brain that the cognitive, conscious part of the brain is not online, it's offline. At that point, it's just survival. Yeah.
Right. And when you make decisions from your subconscious mind, you don't even know you're making those decisions because it's below the level of your awareness.
Right. That's why a lot of people say, I feel so out of control. Like, I don't want to eat all that chocolate, but it's like I just lose control and I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah.
Yeah,
How many times have you ever driven somewhere? You go the same way to work every day
exactly.
and
Hmm.
your mind is going and you're paying it. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm here.
Hmm.
And I don't even know how I got here. You know what I mean? So yeah, we need to be more mindful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as part of this program that I got certified in for binge and emotional eating, there is there is this principle, the three F's that I teach my clients when I first get started with them. And the F number one is to feed yourself properly. So, in order to build that connection with the body, we have to start feeding the body, make sure the body is actually feeling safe to relax. And so, having that breakfast, lunch, dinner, the structured meals, and the second F is to forgive yourself quickly. Those who struggle tend to just be so consumed by guilt and shame. Binge eating and emotional eating are still very taboo in our society, and those who struggle, they struggle in secret, in silence. They don't go share it with their friends. It's just something they do, and they're super ashamed of. And every time it happens, they just spiral into that guilt and shame and this need to want to go back to the past and control what happened, but that's not how it works. And that guilt and shame just keeps them stuck in that cycle because it causes the body more stress. And then because they're ashamed that they made unhealthy choices, now they have to make up for it. And now they skip their breakfast the next day. And
Right.
now they skip their breakfast and had a coffee and had some sugar. And so their blood sugar is like all over the place. Now they have a crash at 12 o'clock and they have to have a donut. And so the cycle just keeps going. So forgiving themselves quickly is so important because it helps them have more chances at succeeding instead of just being stuck in the cycle. Like, okay, you ate emotionally in the morning, it's okay. Move on. Forgive yourself, move on, go and have your lunch. Don't punish yourself.
Right.
And so the third F is focus on health and well being instead of weight loss, at least while we are working together during this program. The fear of gaining weight is a huge blocker on the journey to actually fixing our relationship with food. Because when we're afraid to gain weight, then all of our decisions and everything that we do, again, comes from a place of being in fight or flight and being dysregulated. So just focusing on making sure the body stays nourished, that's also super important. So those 3 Fs, and I hope that if anybody watches this show and struggles, they can start with the 3 Fs and at least have a little bit of a foundation on, before
And
they
be in
move forward.
control. You're in control because you're focusing on the 3 Fs. So that takes some of the pressure off.
Exactly.
You have a plan now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
nice.
yeah. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
great. Now you mentioned you used the abbreviation CPTSD.
Hmm.
That what does that stand for?
It stands for complex PTSD.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, which is PTSD usually is like an isolated event that happened that was very traumatic, and CPTSD is when the trauma happened over a period of time.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm Iranian American. I grew up in Iran. I was born in Iran, and my parents were actually political activists.
hmm.
So I experienced a lot.
I bet.
And I was born during a war. So there was like a 5-year war that was happening in the country. My dad got arrested because he was a political activist. And I don't know how much you guys are actually following the news, but there is a lot going on in Iran right now. So I was gonna say, like, part of how I'm trying to also make the world a better place is I'm doing some activism work for my first home. So
Oh, well, thank you for doing
yeah.
that. That's a beautiful thing. And that
It
does make
is.
the world a better place. Absolutely. And you also mentioned IEMT. That's a technique that you use. And
Yes.
what is that?
IEMT stands for Integral Eye Movement Technique. And a few years ago, when I started to go to therapy myself, I was matched with a therapist who had just gotten EMDR certified.
Ah,
And so she said, "You're a great candidate, and I'm going to try EMDR on you." And I didn't know so much about it at the time. I just knew that I have to like move my eyes and do things. But it was life changing for me. It changed my life. And then through the hypnosis school, I met Lori, I forgot her last name. She also actually went to HMI, and she's a clinical hypnotherapist through HMI, but she also does the certification for IEMT, which is very similar. And I saw her put a post up on Facebook one day saying, "If you have tried EMDR, I want to give you a demo in IEMT." So I went to one of her demo classes, and I was hooked.
mhm.
She actually tried it on me, and I was amazed at how well it worked. It is similar to EMDR, but very different in its approach. So, EMDR works on the negative belief that comes from a past traumatic event. So, let's say a traumatic event happens, like someone growing up with abusive parents, they may believe about themselves that they are not enough or they're not worthy of love. So through EMDR, that beliefs, like processing that event by moving your eyes from side to
Side to
side,
side. Yeah.
that belief shifts into I am worthy or whatever positive belief that you would like to have. The difference between EMDR and IEMT is IEMT works on detaching the emotional imprint of that past traumatic event from the brain. So it always explores the question of when did you first start feeling that way? So if a client comes to me and says, "I feel so stressed out when I go to the grocery store." Well, when was the first time you remember feeling that way? Oh, there was this time I went to the grocery store with my mom and I wanted that particular candy. And my mom said no, and I was really upset. And now I'm binging on this candy as an adult because I felt so out of, I felt like I wasn't in control. And now that makes me, the act of binging on this candy and eating it makes me feel like now I'm in control. But it's basically that little girl inside, right? And
Yeah.
so with IEMT, which is also like specific ways we move our eyes, I help the emotional imprint of that event that happened as that person was a child to dissolve. It comes basically forward into the prefrontal lobe where we can logically assess it and say, you know what? Okay, mom said no because maybe mom didn't have enough money or,
Right.
yeah, whatever it may be. So now we're not emotionally so attached to it and we can, move on and make logical choices.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It
That's
is.
great. And then EMDR is eye movement desensitization. I forget what the
Therapy.
R is.
Yeah.
Therapy.
And you have to be a licensed,
Yeah.
you have to be licensed in order to get EMDR certified.
Yeah. I knew somebody, she was not a client, she was just somebody that I knew, um, whose husband had committed suicide, and she had walked in on it. She
Oh,
was the one who found his body, and that's how she was able to heal from that. She got the EMDR treatments.
Right, right.
Yeah, and it really helped her a lot. She was then, it doesn't make you forget the thing that
No,
happened,
no, the
right.
but
memory is there.
yeah,
Hmm.
but you can now deal with it, and it's something,
Exactly.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
well, this has been very fascinating. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Jewel, do you have any more questions?
Well, I know you've said so many great things, and I know the three F's, but if there was one thing that you could have the audience take away today, what would it be?
Mm. For those specifically who struggle with eating disorders, I would say start with body safety. Um, Learn coping skills that will help you drop into your body, connect with yourself, and let yourself feel, let yourself be human. We're all human.
That's
Nobody's
it.
perfect here. So don't
Right.
try to be perfect. Just be human and help yourself learn coping skills. And yeah, you got this. And
Oh,
I'm
that's
here if
fun.
you need help.
Yes, of course.
Nice.
And when somebody wants to contact you, how do they do that?
The name of my website is divinelylean.com. I offer one-on-one sessions if someone wants kind of that deeper work, but I understand a lot of people may not be ready for that. So I've actually created a couple digital courses that are self-paced for stress eating, and they're only $27. So if someone wants to just get that foundational thing and work, on all of these things at their own pace, that's also available. So yeah, divinelylean.com.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you so much, Shokouh Hatch, certified hypnotherapist and IEMT therapist, for joining us. This has been another episode of A Better World with Julann and Fran. And please like and share this video and subscribe. And please join us again next week, won't you? Thank you, and so
Thank
long
you.
for
Thank
now.
you so much.
Thank you, Fran. Thank you, Julann. Yeah.